Welcome to Acmeware Quick Clips. Today's Quick Clip topic is, how do I find data in Data Repository? Well, naturally, we use the DR system tables. The DR system tables, which live in both your live and test databases, contain helpful metadata, that is, data about the data in your database. For both NPR and MAT-based systems, we have information about every table and column in the DR, stored in the tables you see here. Now, for simplicity's sake, we'll refer to Magic, Client Server, and the NPR portion of 6.0 and 6.1 systems as NPR, and anything from 6.0, 6.1, and Expanse systems, which are built on the MEDITECH Focus platform, as MAT. But before we look at the data in these system tables, it's helpful first to understand how they're organized and stored natively in MEDITECH. MEDITECH's native storage is organized hierarchically, very much like folders and subfolders you would find in Windows. In NPR-based systems, we have applications at the topmost level, which are comprised of DPMs, which in turn are comprised of segments, and which contain individual data elements. We're using the admissions application here to illustrate how these components are denoted in NPR. Also note that an NPR segment is the equivalent of a DR table, while the element is very much like a table field in DR. MAT systems are similar, with an application, like registration here, at the topmost level, followed by objects, followed by records, again, which are roughly the equivalent of a DR table, and finally fields. Another way we might illustrate this storage is by imagining your MEDITECH system as a room full of file cabinets, with each file cabinet representing an application. Let's look at an individual application. For our NPR example, we'll use admissions, and the equivalent application from MAT would be registration. Each application, represented here again by the file cabinet, is then divided into parts, or drawers in this case. A DPM for NPR systems like ADM.pat, or an object in MAT, in this case reg-acct, or reg account, as we might say. If we open those drawers, we'll find folders, which in turn represent the next level of storage, an NPR segment on the left and an MAT record on the right. As a reminder, at this level, each is the equivalent of a table in the data repository. This is important to note, especially for MAT, since a record in the context of a database table has a different meaning than it does here. Finally, we can take a single sheet of paper from each folder, in this example account number, which represents an individual data element or a column field, what we would simply call a field from a DR table. Now that we know the basics of data storage in MEDITECH, let's translate that into some SQL queries against the DR system tables. This first example from NPR shows a basic query on two tables, DR table main and DR table columns. Using the data in these tables, we can now search for information from the DR to determine where exactly it's stored, that is, which table and which column. As you can see from the results of this query, we have information about the sending DPM, the segment, and the element from NPR, which can be especially helpful to NPR report writers, since we can now map or crosswalk data elements between NPR and DR. So if we're not sure where in MEDITECH the account number field comes from, but we know the DR column name in this example, we can trace that back to all the different origins where it might live. Let's look at an example from MAT, using the same table and column data, but in this case, maybe we don't know what the DR table or column might be called. We can do basic queries with SQL wildcard searches to find something in the DR based on the application, the object, the record, or the individual field name from MEDITECH. So in this example, we're searching for any column field from MAT that might be an admission date. And now we can track that down to a table and column, in this case, reg_account_main.admitDateTime in the DR. Hopefully you can see how we can do some pretty simple SQL queries against these system tables to map data back and forth between MEDITECH and DR and make us better report writers. Thanks for watching.